Good evening. Today is March 4th, 2019. The 30th meeting of the 23rd Council will come to order. All councilors are present with the exception of Councilor Winter. He is excused this evening. A moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Davis will be doing that, but before we do that, I'd like to, Councilor Jones, if you can introduce some special guests we have here this evening.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening we have some guests here from Councilor Winter's area. We wanted you to know about Boy Scout Troop 220. They are working on their Eagle badges and their community citizenship and the community merit badge. They meet at the Church of the Covenant on Wilshire Avenue. Is made up of youth from La Cueva, Albuquerque Academy, Sandia Prep, Sandia High School, Bosque School, Desert Ridge Middle School, and Eisenhower Middle School. So if the troop would please come forward. The troop leaders are John Butcher is a leader, and Assistant Scoutmaster is Chris Chavez. Gentlemen, if you would come up and stand in the front, and we will have a moment of silence, and then when we turn around from that, if you will please stand right up here in front of the microphone.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for being here this evening. Good luck with your badges.
Thank you, Councilor Jones, and we'll get you next time, Councilor Davis. Civic Plaza parking passes are provided for members of the public. You can obtain a parking pass from council staff at the sign-up table. The council will take a break at approximately 7 p.m. this evening if needed. We want tonight's proceedings to be as civil and respectful as possible. Please do not make any personal attacks, and please no applause or other outbursts during the meeting. The meeting will go a lot smoother if we're respectful of one another. Next item is item 3, proclamations and presentations. First, we will start off with the Employee Recognition Awards. We have a few folks here this evening that will be receiving an Employee Recognition Award. We have Jessica Bachicha, Ami Dudnow, Lisa Gatton, and Daniel Reed. If you can make your way to the front, and we'll start by reading the awards. If you would help me out this evening, Councilor Sanchez, and start with this one.
Okay, first we will start with Jessica Bachicha. While stationed at her desk at the Tijeras Mill site, Jessica Bachicha heard a muffled noise behind her. She turned to a senior holding her chest, and her face was red. Jessica, without hesitation, performed a successful Heimlich maneuver to remove the obstruction. The senior could not have been more thankful, and the paramedics that arrived shortly after noted that she did a wonderful job performing the maneuver. Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a couple of words?
I'm just grateful that I'm being recognized. I thank you all for the recognition, and I didn't do it for the recognition, but it's good to somebody saw it.
But the important thing is you're here tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, the next individual is Miss Dudlow, and Amy Dudlow received a 311 call from an elderly veteran who had lost his wife and was in the need for some Christmas cheers and requested a Christmas tree. Amy contacted anywhere she could think of looking for a tree. The mayor's office provided a tree, and Amy and some co-workers provided some ornaments and small gifts for the individual as well. This is not a rare occurrence for Amy. She is constantly using her knowledge and resources to help individuals in desperate need and dire times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like to make a couple of comments?
I couldn't have done it without the help of the mayor's office or for my team for helping me. And thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Borrego, will you do the last two?
Yes, this is for Lisa Gayton. And her position is a Health and Wellness Coordinator with Human Resources Department. And the category is Health and Wellness, nominated by a fellow employee. Lisa Gayton is dedicated to her role as Employee Health and Wellness Coordinator. Lisa has developed 2 5-year strategic plans for the Better Health Program and progress reports that clearly demonstrate greater reach and engagement by city employees. Lisa has established partnerships with multiple departments and community health organizations that have led to impactful employee wellness services like Run for the Zoo, mindfulness-based stress reduction classes, I could use that one, annual health academy, blood pressure stations, and better health ads in hard-to-reach work areas, in addition to working on numerous administrative policies to promote better health for city employees. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Other than I'm very honored to receive the award, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to promote health and wellness with passion every single day for our city employees and their families.
And the next individual is Danielle Reed, and her position is Organizational Learning Analyst 2, Human Resources Department, Human Relations, and she was nominated by her supervisor. Over the past year, in addition to her training duties, Danielle Reed developed a suite of trainings for city employees around workplace communication through the Charm School program. Danielle has taught this program to over a third of our departments and has instructed them how to work well together. She has also worked with 125 individual employees through career development coaching to get them into college and up to the next level of their careers, leading to an overall increase in college enrollment. That is awesome. She is currently working on a new and innovative project to centralize college internships with the Public Service University to create career paths in public service. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
I love my job. It's easy to do stuff for the city, so I love all that. And I'm a big fan of education, so I want our employees to move forward. And we're here to help. And thank you all. I know a lot of you.
Congratulations. Would you please make your way this way so we can give you your awards? Okay, next we have Councilor Benton with the proclamation for the Albuquerque Museum.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a proclamation. I think we have folks here from our museum to receive it. Welcome. And Museum Director Andrew Connors and Denise Krause. Welcome. And this proclamation has to do with the exhibit that will be on through the end of this month. I thought this was a good time to remind everyone that they have a last opportunity this month to see this world-class exhibit. But let me read the proclamation, and then we'll hear from you, I hope. Whereas Albuquerque Museum presents visions of the Hispanic world, treasures from the Hispanic Society Museum and Library. which tells a rich story of many cultures settling in Spain and bringing the best and most innovative elements of their heritage to the Iberian Peninsula and the Spanish colonies. And whereas the exhibition includes more than 200 of the most exceptional works spanning over 3,000 years from the collections of the Hispanic Society of America in New York City, a significant number of these works never having been exhibited outside of the Hispanic Society. And whereas the exhibition includes works that link Albuquerque to the global historical narrative, including the year 1498 alabaster effigy of Doña María Mencía Enríquez de Toledo, Duchess of Albuquerque, and a 1728 map by Francisco Álvarez Barreiro, which includes the earliest appearance of Albuquerque noted by a trained cartographer. And whereas the exhibition includes works of art by master artists such as Francisco de Goya, Diego Velázquez, and El Greco, which our citizens would otherwise have to travel long distances to view at great expense. And whereas through the support of the City of Albuquerque and the assistance of Albuquerque Museum Foundation, Albuquerque Museum is able to bring this historic exhibition to the people of Albuquerque in its first American showing through March 31st of this year. And whereas New Mexico is culturally rich in diversity and historic heritage and eager to celebrate world cultures through exceptional artistic masterpieces of a nation linked through history to many who live here, be it proclaimed that the Council, the governing body of the City of Albuquerque, hereby celebrates Albuquerque Museum and Visions of the Hispanic World.
Thank you. President Pena, Councilmember Benton, and members of the Council, Andrew Connors, as Director of the Albuquerque Museum, I'd like to introduce Denise Kraus, who is our Marketing Manager. And Denise has helped spread the word for this major exhibition throughout our state and throughout the nation, quite frankly. We are so proud to work at a museum that has the capacity, both the financial capacity and the professional staff, to bring an exhibition of this international caliber here. The exhibition opened at the Prado Museum in Madrid, Spain, then went to Mexico City, and Albuquerque is the first United States venue on the national tour. We couldn't be more proud to represent the citizens of Albuquerque in sharing this exhibition with all citizens of the Southwest. We want to thank you very much for your support of this exhibition, the support of the city administration that allowed, through creative funding, the opportunity for us to bring this very important exhibition to Albuquerque. Thank you all so much for your support, and we hope you all will have an opportunity to come to the museum and see the exhibition if you haven't already. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Kraus. Come forward. And remember, this is through the end of the month, so everybody, come on out. You will not be disappointed. Wonderful.
Next, we have Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the honor of recognizing our procurement department. March is Public Procurement Appreciation Month, and this is a department, or a division actually, that does an awful lot for the city. I'm very grateful to all of them. So I think that Mr. Muniz is here. Is he here? There he is. Hi. So I'd like to go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas the procurement of goods and services has long been recognized as the foundation of commerce, and whereas public procurement is founded on the three pillars of public trust, public service, and justice, which in turn serve as the basis for the 6 values of accountability, impartiality, ethics, professionalism, service, and transparency. And whereas the public procurement profession plays a significant role in the quality, efficiency, and effectiveness of business and government throughout the United States. And whereas the city of Albuquerque provides an environment where all organizations are afforded an equal opportunity to compete for business, and whereas the Procurement Division serves as a central purchasing office for the city of Albuquerque and is committed to the fair, equitable, and timely acquisitions of goods and services for the city and its residents. And whereas the Procurement Division uses technology, competition, and best practices related to purchasing and supply management. The city's procurement professionals strive daily to reduce costs, encourage competition, and promote high ethical standards to bring the greatest value to the city of Albuquerque and its residents. And whereas the Institute for Public Procurement and other professional purchasing associations throughout the country recognize March as the National Procurement Month each year to further expand the awareness of the important role played by the public purchasing profession in business, industry, and government. Be it proclaimed that the council, the governing body of the city of Albuquerque, hereby proclaims March as Public Procurement Appreciation Month. Thank you for all of you, everything that you do. Without you, we would be sitting on the floor right now and with no computers. So if you'd like to say a few words, Mr. Nees.
Councilor Gibson, members of the council, I just want to say thank you for the recognition for Procurement Division here. I did bring along some of the staff. Just to introduce you really quick. Viola Cunningham is our procurement manager. Jennifer Bradley is our attorney in procurement. Cassandra Ray is one of our senior buyers, and Esteban Vargas is also one of our senior buyers. So just some of the staff that works tirelessly every day to try to help our departments and getting things out and purchased in a fair and equitable manner. So sometimes the job can be thankless, but we do our best to safeguard taxpayer dollars with the items that we're purchasing. So thank you for the recognition on that.
Thank you, Mr. Muniz. And I've worked with many of you there. Always found you guys to be so very resourceful and helpful and very generous with your time and knowledge. So thank you very much. Would you like to come up and get your proclamation?
We kept him. Okay, next item we have is item 4, economic development discussion. There's none. Item 5, administration question and answer period. Are there any questions for the administration? Councilor Borrego.
Just for Ms. Nair, I did receive information from Dave Campbell from Planning regarding the MRA, and I haven't had a chance to meet with him yet, so I appreciate that, and hopefully we will be able to meet soon. Thank you.
Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is probably for Ms. Nair, and this is in reference to the Albuquerque Police Department and the number of police vehicles. I know that our laterals, there was not enough vehicles for the laterals. Has that issue been resolved?
Council President Pena, Councilor Sanchez, it's not all the way resolved, but we have the pipeline ready for all of those vehicles. I believe Chief of Staff Ross was here last time and presented those figures, and I'd be happy to send them around to each of you so you have the specifics on that.
And do we have an academy class right now going on, or do we have a class starting?
We do. We have an academy class going on at CNM. It's the first of the CNM academies. It's a limited size because it's new to them, but we've already gotten a lot of positive feedback from the state training officials on that academy, so that's what's going on right now.
And we looked at 100 officers per year for the next 4 years. Are we on track?
Council President Pena, Councilor Sanchez, yes, we are, but I'm still going to knock on wood until we get that 100 through the door.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess my question should go to Mr. Ayala, the COO. And I'm wondering if you have an update for us on the contract negotiations between the city and PNM for replacement of the street light lamps.
Madam President and Councilor Gibson, I'm happy to inform you and all the councilors that we do have an agreement, a signed agreement with PNM to begin the conversion of the street lights throughout the city. They have provided DMD Director Montoya with a phase-in program to phase in different neighborhoods through as they go through this process. And I'd be happy to get you a copy of that, or get all of you a copy of that, so you all can begin to see the process as we move forward. I mean, the good news for all of you is that as you all get the calls, we're also setting up a system with PNM so that we can ensure that whenever you or your constituents call either our office or call you all, that we have a process so that citizens don't know which are PNM poles and which are City of Albuquerque poles, setting up a streamlined process just so that the lights get replaced and get fixed, and the poles get, if they're knocked down, get replaced as well. So we are right in the middle of organizing that, and I'd be happy to provide a report for you.
Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for that. That's good news. But you know what? I think a lot of people are figuring out which poles belong to PNM and which belong to the city, because the ones that belong to PNM aren't that great. Case in point, I'll give you a real good example, and that's Candelaria. Candelaria from, I don't know where it starts, at least Carlisle eastward. Right. Very dark. There was a fatality over there in the block where Bel Air School is about a month ago. And I've been over there several times at night. It's very dark. And there's street lights, but they're just not, they're not very effective. And it's not a matter of shading by trees or anything like that. It's just that they're, I don't know, like
Madam
30
President,
or old or something.
And Councilor, you're right. The LED lights that that were put onto the city street system that was through the City Loom contract are much brighter and actually are much more energy efficient than the old sodium lights that are currently the ones on the P&M poles. And so that's why the conversion was important, and why we need to look at those major corridors and get those corridors lit. Because you're right, citizens call us, and I'm sure they're calling you, why is the light on one side of the street brighter than the other? And that just happens to be how the poles are actually,
Right.
allocated throughout the city. But we're working on that to get that information for you.
So when do you anticipate this to start?
Madam President and Councilor Gibson, they should be starting here in the next month or so. Again, I'd be happy to give you that information, but the good news is it'll take them a little bit less than a year is what they've said to us to get most of theirs converted. They've already issued contracts, et cetera. So, but again, we'll get you a report so you all can have that information.
Thank you.
Sorry, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I've got a question for Director Montoya, and this is in reference to Yucca Boulevard. Before you got here, this has been over a year, I asked the question, can we find some resolutions to the speeding problems on Yucca? What has happened is the alignment with Yucca and Coors, you're having a lot more traffic go through Yucca, and the people are screaming and hollering, and they've been calling me constantly saying, when are we going to get this problem resolved? It's been over a year right now. Do we know where that issue is at right now, or what's going on?
Madam President, Councilor Sanchez, so we have looked at the intersection. I think we had several requests for additional signage to identify Yucca where it separates from Coors, sort of in that general area. It is an enforcement issue more than anything else, simply because as you come off of Central onto Yucca and then down that straight path for Coors. So I would at least defer answering that question to APD, but it's more of an enforcement issue. We've gone in and looked at the speed limit that's on there now, what's posted from the intersection all the way down to Bridge, and based on our traffic analysis and the traffic engineer's thorough analysis, I mean, it's adequate. The speed is where it should be for the volume of traffic that goes through there. So I believe we've addressed the issue, but I'm not sure that.
This is not on Bridge. This is on Yucca.
But Yucca from off of Central.
Correct.
Going down towards Bridge.
No, it's just the opposite. Going from basically Coors up towards the Fortuna and the church. I mean, people are basically not going up Central, they're basically going straight and then taking Fortuna, but the speeding is very problematic. And like I said, I've been talking to staff on this issue now for over 12 months. Before you got here, I'm not pointing fingers at you because it's not your issue, but we got to come to some resolution because and Pat Hurley Park is located right there. So I mean, there's a lot of speeding, a lot of people walking that area, and there's going to be a serious accident, soon if we don't resolve it.
Madam President, Councilor Sanchez, so I apologize, I'm not aware of that situation that would be on the north side of Central.
That is correct.
I will look into it because what I'm aware of is everything on the south side. And we've addressed those issues, at least they were raised to me, and we believe we've taken care of the situation going southbound.
Yeah, southbound is fine. It's northbound on Yucca. And I've been working with Ms. Lozoya, so if you would, maybe talk to her, we can get that resolved.
I will.
Thanks.
Ms. Nair.
Thank you, Council President Pena and Councilor Sanchez. On the enforcement side, we've been sort of working our way down the west side where there are various problems. APD ran a tactical plan, I think 2 weeks ago, on Coors between I-40 and DeLine, and got great results, over 140 citations, and they'll be working their way south, so I'll make sure that this particular stretch is on their work plan as well.
I think enforcement will help, but there's got to be a permanent solution to kind of slow down that traffic. I mean, they're driving 60, 70 miles an hour.
Councilor Borrego.
Actually, my comment was related to the streetlights. And one of the issues that I have, and I don't know how we can address this, but I believe that there's a lock that goes underneath the actual light to prevent people from taking the copper wire. And I wonder if the company that we're, I guess it's Centellium, or are they working with us to do that? I just drove down one of my streets on Eagle Ranch between Irving and the Coors Bypass, and all the lights were off. And I was like, oh my God, I think they hit that area just recently in the last week. And I know that I had a subdivision where they hit the entire street. So I understand that, it's difficult to prevent that, but I think there's a lock or something that goes underneath those lights.
Madam President, Councilor Borrego, so let me address that. So copper theft is a real problem for us. It has been the last year as we've done the conversions. We're actually switching to an aluminum wire in order to discourage individuals from stealing. Once they clip the wire and realize it's aluminum, we are actually tagging all of our poles. The poles are actually saying that this is aluminum wire that has been installed. And then the covers, basically, in the second year of the contract, one of the requirements of City Loom was to go in and cover all of those. So we have ordered the plates. They will actually be welded onto the pole. And then at some point, if one of our vendors or even one of our employees needed to get in there, they would actually be popped with a tool of some sort. But that is the second phase of the poles themselves, is to cover all of those with the plate that we currently have.
So is the cost for replacing that, is that additional cost, or is that part of the contract?
Madam President, Councilor Borrego, the only additional costs with City Loom are when we have knockdowns or we have installation of new poles that have to go in. Aside from that, general maintenance is the responsibility of theirs.
Okay. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to acknowledge both Mr. Montoya and Mr. Real. I know we've all been working for a while, and y'all in particular on this PNM streetlight issue. It is a big deal, and I hope we can do more to tell our community about it when it's coming. It's particularly a big deal in some of our older neighborhoods where most of the streetlights come with your house and your sidewalk, and there's not much the city can do about it. That said, I just want to acknowledge, and thank you, Mr. Montoya. I don't see them today because I know they're working. I just want to acknowledge and say thanks to our Parks Department. We were able to share last week, I think it was, a new protocol, or I guess a new success with our Bullhead Park, which had started to see some instances of inappropriate use after hours. And our Parks Director came and met with the Neighborhood Association and with our office, with the County Commission and others to really look at what happened. The neighborhood proposed a couple of solutions, and Mr. Simon and his team brought back those solutions last week. you know, he brought back here's some things we can do, and I was able to put some parks funding into it. We put in new security gates there in partnership with the neighborhood association, and now the neighborhood watch is actually helping us close up and patrol the park at night on their way home, to alert APD and parks folks when things aren't going well, and they've got a whole new plan of new activities there. The neighborhood's really excited, but more importantly, I want to acknowledge that Parks is taking a really deliberate effort to work with our neighborhoods who are willing to partner. And for us, it was the Neighborhood Watch expanding their patrol just a little bit to help secure the park and able to put money to help them do that. It's something now that I've got 4 different neighborhood associations asking how they can adopt their neighborhood park for other help as well. So I want to acknowledge that and say thanks. They're doing a great job.
Councilor Gibson.
One other thing I forgot to mention, but Councilor Davis reminded me. We did open Los Altos Pool yesterday. That was just yesterday. Saturday, right, Saturday. Yesterday was Sunday. The results are gorgeous. Really, really nice. So if you if you're interested, I hope you'll go over there and take a look. The other amenities to come, but we have the pool building is completed. There's also a classroom, a very large classroom that could also be used for meetings. Really nice effects. So thanks to everybody who had any part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gibson. I just wanted to make kind of, I guess, a comment or a statement, if you will. You know, last Thursday was Westside Day. It was awesome. You know, the West Central Group, it was founded by Representative Maestas. West Central Group took up over 700 students, and they had a blast. They learned all about the process. But my comment or question to the administration is that I know I had mentioned this before at a previous council meeting, but we had like 15 or 16 buses that were going up, and they were all from Westside schools, and they're going up to Santa Fe, and there was accidents on the freeway. So I know I mentioned before that we really have to kind of come up with some kind of comprehensive plan on how to address when there's accidents on the freeway, whether going or coming. It was literally a nightmare. I think some of the students got there, they almost had to turn around and come back, and you know, it was just, it was pretty bad in terms of traffic. So I just hope that that we could really sit down, maybe with the Westside elected officials and the administration, and really come up with something. I don't know whether, you know, police officers that kind of just guide traffic through in the morning, but it is like literally a nightmare. So, Mr. Rayal.
Madam, at the risk of not offending you, but of saying this, you know, the rail runner carries a lot of people. So I would suggest that next year, and I'm serious about this, if there is that many students, they can actually run a special train for that many folks at one time so that they can get up there. But with the issue of moving vehicles and trying to keep the interstates as open as we possibly can. Of course, we work with the DOT consistently because the interstate is part of their jurisdiction and with APD. But, you know, the traffic congestion on those river crossings especially is so difficult just on normal operations, much less when you have an accident. So we'll continue to work with that, and we have some plans. I know that APD is working on some areas, and the DOT and our traffic folks have been reviewing whether or not we can do some better management of the lanes as the city grows and the population of the city takes more and more of that capacity out of those major roadway facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Rayal. And not to be sarcastic, but we still have to get across the river to get to the rail runner. And in addition to that, that's actually been up for consideration. It's just that their hours don't operate at the times the students need to be there early in the morning and then in the afternoon. So yeah, that's an option. So thank you. Next we have the Journal. Councilor Borrego.
Madam President, and before I go to the Journal, I just want to commend the people for organizing Westside Day. I was there, and it was just amazing how many students there were, the legislators that attended, and the local elected officials that were there, really great role models for the students. And I want to thank especially Nancy Montano and the Westside Development Corporation for that. So Back to the journal. I move approval of the February 20th journal.
There's a motion and second for approval of the journal. All those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Item number 7, communications and introductions. Are there any changes to the letter of introduction? Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of introducing O53 and placing it on the March 18th council agenda for final action. O53 is an ordinance authorizing the pledge and dedication of the city's 3/8% municipal hold harmless gross receipts tax imposed pursuant to City Ordinance 018-9.
There's a motion and a second for O53. I'm placing it on the council agenda for March 18th. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. I move that the rules be suspended for the purpose of introducing RA2 and placing it on the March 18th council agenda for final action. RA2 is amending the City Council Rules of Procedure, Article 3, Section 23, relating to allocation of councilors' expenses. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilor Borrego.
I move approval of the letter of introduction.
There's a motion and second for approval of the letter of introduction. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 8, reports of committee. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee of the Whole met on Thursday, February 21st, 2019, and reports out the following item. In the matter of R120, that it do pass as substituted. I make a motion to accept the committee report.
There's a motion and second to accept the committee report. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next item is deferrals and withdrawals. Councilors, are there any deferrals or withdrawals at this time? Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's see. I'm going to move deferral of RA1, amending the City Council Rules of Procedure, Article 2, Section 4, and Article 3, Section 21, relating to the Internal Operations Committee, and moving deferral until April 1st.
There's a motion and a second for deferral of RA1. All those in favor say until April 1st. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next item is 9, the consent agenda. Are there any changes to the consent agenda? Councilor Borrego.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second by Councilor Harris. All those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next, we are on item 10, general public comments. There will be a two-minute time limit. The light on the podium will be green for the first minute and a half, and then the light will turn yellow and the bell will ring, indicating you have 30 seconds remaining to wrap up your comments. At 2 minutes, the light will turn red and indicate your time is up. So the first few speakers are Mr. Don Schrader, Downey X, and Tad Naminsky. If you can make your way to the front until your name is called.
Welcome. Sugar is as addictive as heroin. Sugar is far more addictive than cocaine. White flour turns to sugar when digested. Sugar, white flour sodas are slow poison. Diet sodas, artificial sweeteners, also slow poison. The earlier kids get addicted to sugar, the more likely they will stay addicted for life. Do most adults realize feeding kids candy, sodas, processed crap is child abuse? Sugar causes or worsens cancer, allergies, heart disease, all infections, kidney stones, overweight, gallstones, arthritis, alcoholism, other drug addiction, asthma, weak bones, diabetes, indigestion, insomnia, headaches, depression, cataracts, high blood pressure, mental illness, more than 60 conditions. Many years ago, my mother and I were both terribly addicted to sugar. Seeing her suffer hell for decades woke me up. She was my all-time closest friend. Now I eat healthier than most millionaires, even though I live on far less than the U.S. poverty level. I eat no processed crap, no sugar, no white flour, no artificial sweeteners. Sweet crap sickens and kills millions. Sugar is the gateway drug.
Thank you. Mr. Downey X.
So, let me get this straight. First, you raised our gross receipts taxes under the guise of fighting crime. That didn't work. Then you made the taxpayers pay to keep the lights on that failed dumpster fire you call AR2 to help stop crime. Not working. Now you want every car be required to have a front license plate as if that will magically lower the crime rate. Will not work. Just another knee-jerk reaction to the never-ending crime epidemic that plagues our cities. But man, this Albuquerque City Council governs like a kabuki theater. A performance with nothing substantial is done. You never know what's behind the curtain. The Wizard of Oz, maybe? Your pathetic solutions only make matters worse. America is the most violent country in the world. The origins of this country were based on theft, genocide, and murder. From the genocide of millions of Native Americans to the Trail of Tears, the kidnapping of millions of Africans to suffer the inhumanity of slavery, followed by the brutal horrors of Jim Crow. Crime, murder, and theft is in America's DNA. Last year, 40,000 people were killed by gun violence in this country. Wow. Crime violence is a social problem. You cannot arrest your way out of this. Maybe try stabilizing the middle class by making sure they are paid a living wage as opposed to poverty wages. That is what's driving the middle class and the poor deeper into the black hole of crime and poverty.
Thank you, Mr. Tad Naminsky, followed by Laurie Aki, followed by Derek Toledo.
Thank you. My name is Ted Naminsky. Should I say, let me get something straight? Well, that is basically what I wanted to talk about it. Homelessness. What is roots to homelessness? That's only few I can name it, of many. Alcohol, drugs, gambling. Okay, what they creating? Mental, emotional, and financial problems. Mental problem can go as far down as the early age before child was born. Emotional problem. All through the schools and divorce, marriages, divorce, etc., etc. Financial, lack of employment, minimum wages, banking, manipulation, of course, gambling, etc., etc., etc. Well, what I'm talking, just we have to look at to way down from the top down to the root, very beginning of the problem. What I'm talking about it, all politicians, doesn't matter how much money you put to the system, you won't solve money, won't solve the problem. Simply won't solve the problem. You have to begin with prevention. That's what is it. Start from prevention. Then you can eliminate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naminsky. Laurie Aki, followed by Derek Toledo, followed by Rudolph Serrano.
Good evening. My name is Laurie Aki. I'm Dinek Cochiti and Zuni Pueblo, and I serve as the director for the Native American Voters Alliance Education Project. And I'm here in support tonight for the substitute ordinance 1845, which is regarding the Commission on Indian Affairs. Native people. We come from all walks of life. We're taxpayers, we're registered voters, we're professionals in many different sectors, and we're average working people. But we also continue to face many, many challenges, and we really do have a strong desire to collaborate with the city of Albuquerque and help build a more vibrant urban Indian community. And so we really want to thank Councilor Sanchez and Mayor Keller for putting this forward, this substitute ordinance. And again, just to say that we do support the bill. We truly appreciate expanding the membership from 5 members to 9 members. We truly appreciate you acknowledging and affirming tribal sovereignty and government-to-government relationships. Our only concern is that on page 3, there's the subsection D, says that we should improve employment opportunities of Indians in the city's public and private sectors. We kind of debated, and I apologize for us not being a little bit more on top of it, but I did talk to our chair this evening, and we just don't think it's realistic for us to be in charge of that without an adequate budget or resources. We feel that it's a very large task, and so this is our only concern, and but we do, again, want to support this bill and definitely appreciate all of your work on this. And so I don't know if that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. And perhaps it's better to do this during the bill. I just want to be sure that I think the administration had an opportunity to respond to Ms. Wiaki. I think she makes a decent point, and I'd love to be sure we've had a chance to address that. And if the sponsor would rather do that during the bill, that'd be fine too.
Yeah, we can wait till the bill comes up. I did meet with her prior to the meeting tonight, and they said they were okay to move forward, and we can look at making some changes later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiaki. Derek Toledo, followed by Mr. Serrano.
Madam President, members of the council, my name is Derek Toledo, and I'm from Jemez Pueblo. I'm here today because I made a promise to my 1-year-old daughter. I made a promise to her that I would ensure a healthy, clean future for her, so I could stand here and tell you why to support the passage of proposed state legislature Senate Bill 489. But I could tell you what happens if you don't. More of the same. New Mexico will continue to be New Mexico and fall to the bottom of another list. In a state with so much potential, we'll still be last in clean energy and the last to do anything for climate justice. Without the bill, Senate Bill 489, worker and county relief will not be promised to those about to be severely impacted. Without the bill, we will continue our improper, polluting, energy-producing ways. It's time we understand the reality of what we could really accomplish going forward. This is the importance of supporting the passage of proposed state legislature Senate Bill 489. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Serrano.
Good evening, Madam Clarissa and members of the councils. I'm for that. I was not here for that bill, but Mr. Winter didn't show up. So let's support the climate. One of my campaign slogan is like, vote for me in 2020 or die in 2030. Pretty much our intelligence community tells us that 10% of the American people are going to be dead in 10 years. And the intelligence community is not like these people that is like planning, destroying things, or they're just looking at data. They interpret the data and they give it to the legislators. These things are happening, you know, and it's a national security threat to our communities, because I mean we're not letting the people know that this is happening. We need to let the people know this is happening. We need to get every Republican over there in the Senate and, you know, see why they're just selling to the oil companies, you know, and hiding the truth from us. There's another national security issue here, and that's religion. 30% to turn into Christ, you know, to be absolved is too much. Our communities for centuries, for millennia, ask for 10%. And the fact that we are just asking for 30% makes the people not be able to pay. And this is making a change, and everybody's turning Muslim. Pretty much our nation is going to be Muslim by 1445. And I'm worried about this happening too fast because the Christians are charging too much, and I want to see a bill that kind of checks if this is something that we want to do that fast. It will create too much anti-Semitism, in my point of view. I think everybody should have the belief they want, but we have to make sure, that we make God accessible to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Serrano. Dr. David Bearshield, followed by our final speaker of the evening, Melvin Allen.
Madam President, on the rest of the City Council, I'm here with regards to the Gathering of Nations. We first want to thank you for the history that you made in partnering with us. And we thank Mayor Keller and his office because out of all of the city councils in the 36 years of Gathering of Nations, you are the first to contribute to this, which is called the largest powwow, not in this state, not in Albuquerque, but in the world. And so we are just honored and wanted to come and tell you thank you. We just met with them earlier about the proposal that's going to go through, and we appreciate you for taking in consideration Native American, the culture, not only that, but going in and building that partnership to help this, because it's never been done before. And I want to tell each and every one of you that from the Matthews family and from myself and from the Gathering of Nations family and everyone that has pulled together into Mayor Keller, that we appreciate you because you didn't have to do this, but you did. And we really, really believe that blessing is going to come to this administration and to this city council and wherever your endeavors are, because you've put the First Nations people first. We honor you today, and we thank you for this just generous partnership and look forward to the years to come. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, sir. And I must say that we as a city council in a city, thank you and the Gathering of Nations for choosing Albuquerque for this event. We're proud to have it here. It is a magnificent event, and we're very proud of you and our city, and thank you for what you do for us.
We appreciate that. And also be sure and mark in your calendars April the 26th. We've gotten some stuff out. We've been working with Councilor Benton, and we're bringing you guys in for the first time ever to bring you in for a tour to meet all of our Native American officers that have been voted into office. We've got our first Native American governor from Oklahoma that's going to be visiting the Gathering of Nations, so we're excited to have you guys to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Melvin Allen.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service. I'm here to speak about the economic development potential of the Workforce Housing Trust and the proposal that the general obligation bonds be obligated to the extent of 8%. The economic development potential is huge, and we have to understand, I think, that little people aren't so little. And if we can support people in lowering their living expenses, these families will be able to participate in our local economy to a much higher degree. We've had issues in the past with people saying, well, it'd be nice if poor people could buy a house. And I say that getting 10 folks a job once a year is not the way to go. That if we partner with the state's programs, unfortunately, you all remember there's that scandal a few years ago. If we take advantage of our ability to work with the state, being a democracy, hold their feet to the fire if necessary, we can create a situation where we're building 5 extra homes a year in 5 years and 50 extra homes a year in 10 years. This is critical to our local economy. It's a humanitarian effort for sure, but it's not welfare. It's fundamental economic development. If we're smart about it, we can turn this around. You know, we all know that New Mexico has huge potential, and I think it's time that we weighed in and did our bit to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Benton.
Thank you, sir, for speaking about in favor of workforce housing and the trust fund. And I want to thank the administration for really stepping up this year. We had to scratch and fight every year for the last 8 years or so for the funding in that program. It was grossly underfunded, and I want to thank fellow council members. I mean, people pitched in from their own district set aside to try to build up and supplement that fund in the lean years. But under the Keller administration, there's a real commitment to the trust fund. And we are working on some minor amendments to the ordinance, the trust fund ordinance, that will facilitate not only home building and home ownership, which is, it's never really been used a whole lot for that in its history, but also housing rehabilitation, which is so important in the preservation of our historic neighborhoods. So thanks for speaking out.
The thing I'd like to add is that
Sure.
it's about the market, okay? If we can reduce the penury of poverty,
right,
then first thing I'm going to do is buy a new car, which enhances their survivability as a working class person. They won't lose their job and their home. Eventually, you know, in 5 years, they're going to want a house. And probably they'll buy a used house, but that will place more demand in that market, and the people who have the opportunity to step up to a new home will do so.
Thanks so much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Benton. Next item is 11, announcements. Councilor Harris.
Thank you very much, Madam President. There will be a Finance and Government Operations Committee meeting on Monday, March 11th at 5 p.m. in the City Council Committee Room on the 9th floor.
Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Madam President. The Land Use Planning and Zoning Committee, which was scheduled for Wednesday, March 13th, is canceled.
Thank you. Next item, 12, public hearings. There are none. We are now on item 13, approvals. And this is EC 335, appointment of Santiago Chavez to the position of Deputy Chief Administrative Officer. Santiago, are you here? Will you and is your family here? You want to come up to the front? I will move confirmation. Is there there's a motion and a second? Is there anyone signed up to speak on this? I didn't get anything from you ladies. Mr. Chavez, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Madam President. I do have my family here. They are all in the back. I have my crew, my wife, Nicole, my son, Santino, my daughter, Ayana, my parents, James and Erlinda, my mother-in-law, Carmen, my brother and sister-in-laws, Vince, Missy, Henry, and my good friend Tino. So, and Tyrell, and I think I got everybody. Did I miss anybody? Will you guys stand up? Stand up.
Why don't you stand up and be recognized? Actually, oh, okay.
Madam President, I just wanted
to... Typical Chicano bringing the whole gavia.
Thank you. Just wanted to take the opportunity to thank, first of all, the mayor for giving me the opportunity to work with him and his professional staff. I worked at the New Mexico Association of Counties for 7 years. It was very much like a family. I've been working with the team here for a little over 3 weeks, and immediately made me feel like I was a part of the family here. Over the last 3 weeks, I've had the opportunity to sit with all of you individually to learn more about your individual stories and your city council districts. And I look forward to working with all of you here in the future. So I humbly ask for your support to continue to serve the city of Albuquerque. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? No. I just want to say that, you know, I'm going to support you. I really appreciate all your experience. I look forward to working with you. And if anyone ever wants to host a matanza, this is the guy to go to. So we have a motion and a second for EC 335. All those in favor, say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, we are on item 14, final actions. Councilor Jones for Councilor Winters.
Thank you, Madam President. This is for substitute amending the public purchases ordinance. Councilor Winter has asked that I move for deferral until the next council meeting.
There's a motion and second for deferral of O36, although floor sub O36. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. This is floor substitute O-45. That is amending Chapter 2, Article 6 of the revised ordinance of the Albuquerque relating to the Commission on American Indian and Alaska Native Affairs. I move a do pass.
There's a motion and second for floor sub O45. Is there anyone signed up to speak? Mr. Tadna Minsky.
Thank you. My name is Ted Niemiski. Well, how interesting is it? Last city council, last week before the meeting, show up American Indian elected new Congress lady for this district. Why? I was wondering why. Well, she wanted, with Sanchez created committee. What is committee supposed to do? Since American Indian over the years been thrown out from reservation. Who are we gonna have another government right here in our city government, helping, taking care of American Indians? I'm sorry. Where that is their people, why they not over there? Of course they have rights to go to found a job anywhere they wanted. Why they don't take in their own people? But when somebody drinks, they throw it from reservation, way back as I can remember. And never let them back. That's where we at. Now, millions of dollars from white people they start casinos and gambling. Our people, well, of course, Indians too. Why they don't put money here to Albuquerque? Are they gonna put? I doubt it. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We're back on O45. Councilor Sanchez, are there any questions from councilors? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Davis.
Thanks, Madam President. I do want to just return to that issue that Ms. Wiaki raised, because I know the sponsor and the administration has worked with them to resolve it, and I want to have a chance to have that discussion. I do want to just acknowledge, though, that I think what we just heard sort of demonstrates exactly why we need exactly this type of committee to help our city stand up and elevate all voices and be equitable and invite everyone to participate in the conversation. So I just didn't want to leave that unsaid following that. So perhaps I could ask the sponsor, I know y'all have worked with Ms. Wiaki and others to sort of address that concern they had about how that language was structured, and I think we have a good solution. But would you tell us a little about that, please?
Basically, right now, we have not a floor substitute, but an amendment to that bill. I think Ms. Wiaki brought up an excellent point. The issue is revenues that they do not have. We can work with them in the future to, hopefully bring more opportunities and jobs to the Native Americans in our community and throughout the state of New Mexico. But this is going to be a unique board. We are increasing the numbers from 5 to 9 members. We will not be engaged and involved in the appointments based on this floor substitute. That will be the chapters and the councils and the governors that will appoint the additional members. I think this is going to be a perfect opportunity to be inclusive in bringing our Native Americans to the table on many issues that impact all of us. Did you want to bring that? Let's go to Councilor Benton, and then we can. Councilor Benton.
Yeah, just to clear, I may have misunderstood what Ms. Wiaki mentioned, but it seemed to, maybe she'd like to clarify, but it seemed to, and please, you're welcome to come up if you could, seemed to be an issue of the stated responsibility, and I didn't understand whether they were asking for that to be restated, or that we just have further discussions about long-term resources to be provided to the group.
Before we go to Ms. Wiaki, she did make the request to have it restated. We can look at that. And you also had an amendment?
Yes, Madam President. Councilor Sanchez, I actually just, I have the language ready if you want to strike that item from the resolution about the educational part and not, you know, it's a two-line section that we would just remove. So if that's
Ms.
what
Wiaki?
you'd like.
Yeah, I would just say that we believe we're advisory, and that's how we're understanding our position to be. And so in terms of that particular language, we'd like to have some little, it could be encourage the improvement of employment opportunities or something along those lines that makes it clear that we're advising, but we're not necessarily responsible for actually improving the employment opportunities for Native people. That's all.
Yeah, we can work with you on that point. Did you want to go and revise that?
Yes, Madam President, Councilor Sanchez. So to make that change on page 3, line 26, we would add the word encourage before the term improve, and that should handle the concern.
That would be perfect for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiaki. Then I will move that amendment number 1 to floor substitute 0-45.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to floor sub 045. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're back on the bill. I think you had it under control the whole time, Councilor Sanchez. I think we got confused. Oh, Councilor Benton.
Madam President, thank you. I just wanted to also state that although we do provide a forum for the public, sometimes it's very uncomfortable to hear some of the statements that are made in these chambers, and I disavow that all of the sentiments of that public speaker, and I'm sure we all do. The importance of our urban Native American community is especially at the forefront in a state like New Mexico, and I'm very proud to have Deborah Holland as our representative, and I'm very proud to support our urban Native American community in whatever they need for us to work better with them and with their community here in town. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Benton. I appreciate that statement. Councilor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President. I would also like to thank Councilor Benton for not letting that pass. I was going to let that pass, but I think it's better to not let that pass. So thank you, Councilor, for doing that, and absolutely, I fully agree.
So no other questions? Anything from the administration?
Thank you, Council President Pena. I just want to say that we really appreciate your support for this effort. The commission has actually been around for a number of years, but what this really does is to recognize the sovereign relationship of the tribes to the United States of America, and they're more than our neighbors. They are sovereign nations who are adjacent to us, and we really want to recognize that in this expansion of the council, of the commission. So we thank you for your help with this.
Councilor Sanchez to close.
And I will just close by saying I want to thank the administration and especially Mayor Keller for the work on this legislation. You know, we in this community, in this country, need to be inclusive in making sure our Native Americans are provided the sovereignty that they need, but at the same time being a voice along with the City Council and the administration in doing what is right for the tribes and for the city. And I urge your support.
There's a motion and a second for floor sub 045 as amended. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is Councilor Sanchez, 051.
Thank you, Madam President. This is 051. This is amending Article 12, Section 5 of the City Charter, and amending Article 13, Section 2, 3, 4, 7, and 11 of the City Charter relating to the election campaign financing. I move a due pass.
There's a motion and a second for a due pass.
And we have the city clerk here if there's any questions. We've been dealing with this issue now for some time, so City Clerk, did you have any comments?
Council President Pena and Councilor Sanchez, the city clerk's actually sick, but we have our elections analyst, Miriam Deemer, here to answer any questions.
And this has been discussed in depth over several meetings. We had a second hearing because of it being an amendment to the city charter. So if there's any questions?
Are there any questions? No? Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Urge support.
Thanks for trying to make your way up here. And there's a motion and a second for a due pass of 051. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Next item is Councilor Davis, R121, sorry.
Thank you, Madam President. R121 is a resolution directing the Transit Department to evaluate and prioritize providing commuter service to the new NNSA headquarters being constructed at Eubank and Southern that aligns with that facility opening. As we have heard over quite some time, NNSA is consolidating their operations and expanding here at Kirtland Air Force Base. More than 1,200 employees use that facility now and will continue to do so, but in part of their new construction, they're seeking some high levels of LEED for environmental sustainability for their work, and part of that is providing transit access so that folks can use public transit as an alternative to driving all those cars every day. And so they've asked us to do that. I know Director Toon is here with us, and they've been supportive of doing this study to help us evaluate ways to connect those folks to our ABQ ride service. And so I would move a due pass on R121.
Anyone signed up to speak? No? Any questions from the council, administration? No? Well, then we are back to Councilor Davis to close on R121.
Urge your support.
There is a motion and a second for a due pass of R121. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now on R122. Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Madam President. R122 is establishing a downtown safe zone boundary bounded on the north up to Lomas Boulevard, but not including Lomas Boulevard, the BNSF railroad tracks to the east, Cole Avenue to the south, and 8th Street to the west, and identifying transportation improvements within this bounded area for the purposes of multimodal safety. I move a due pass.
Second. There's a motion and a second for a due pass of R122. Is there anyone signed up to speak?
And
Questions
Madam President?
from the administration? Councilor Benton.
Yeah, first of all, I'm happy to hear from the administration, and I want to start by thanking them for their support of working on this. This is a fairly simple change to our downtown situation with regard to how we all use it. And that simple change is really a lowering of the speed limit by 5 miles an hour from 25 to 20. That may seem like a small increment, and it is. But one thing we all know, whether any of us who drives, but most of us probably drive in this room, I think perhaps not Mr. Schrader if he's still in the room, but the rest of us do, most of the rest of us. And the natural tendency is to go a little over the speed limit a lot of the time. So here's the statistic that's so important about this change. A pedestrian who is hit by a car at 20 miles an hour has a 90% chance of survival. Bump that up to 30, so let's say 25 plus the 5 that we often go over the speed limit. That rate of survival drops from 90% to 50%. That's pretty astounding statistic. Speed does kill when it comes to interactions between cars and pedestrians, physical interaction of that sort of being hit in the street. So that's one important aspect of this. The other important aspect, and I know that Mayor Keller's administration has bought into the Division Zero concept, which is about, it's an aspiration, and it's a very high aspiration of achieving zero traffic fatalities and severe injuries involving pedestrians, but for all road users, really, car drivers and cyclists and any road user. Vision Zero is about minimizing that. Why is this important for downtown? Because downtown, as a matter of policy, of this and previous councils and administrations, has been designated within our comprehensive plan as a place that should be among the most walkable places in the city. That it's very important for a downtown center where there's tourism and where we're trying to reestablish vitality to be walkable. It's good for business, it's good for health, it's good for everybody. Doesn't mean the streets should not work well for cars and other modes of transportation. And one thing that the bill does is it doesn't really do more than reiterate existing policy we have, with the exception of this one change in the speed limit. But it does kind of summarize the work that's been done over the years, starting with the comprehensive plan descriptions of downtown, existing roadway and bikeway facility plans that are regional plans, the downtown walkability analysis, which the council passed years back and reiterated last year, and the I think I mentioned the bikeway facility plan. So it contains a map that shows the boundary, but also kind of shows and summarizes those plans. Important to note that that map is a long-term map. Some of the plans for changes to downtown within that map are acknowledged to be achievable at an earlier rate. Others, such as conversion of a couple of the streets to one-ways, from one-ways to two-way streets, will involve more study. So that is already acknowledged in the downtown walkability analysis. But that's pretty much what this is about. It's fairly simple, but it's also, I think, impactful. And I'd love to hear, I want to thank again the Municipal Development Department for working with us, and I'd love to hear from the administration what their take on it.
Anyone from
Madam President, and Councilor Benton, we obviously support this this resolution, and it is an important part of the investment in downtown. As you all know, the mayor recently, well, I can say recently, not too long ago, implemented the Downtown Public Safety District, which is coincidentally the same boundaries as this, as your bill, Councilor Benton. The whole idea is that for those of us who were here before and left and came back, it's a very different and somewhat confusing situation on the streets in downtown, where you see the striping that was done and some of the changes that were done to the roadways to accommodate different modes of transportation, which is all good for downtown. But in reality, the key is that the entire roadway system ought to be shared, and we ought to have a reasonable speed limit that ensures the safety of those who are on bicycles, who maybe at some point will be on e-scooters, or and pedestrians that are walking in downtown. So I think it does a great service for the downtown area. And as our one concern had been early on was that we make sure that we study the conversion of the one-ways, in particularly to Tejeras and Marquette, to ensure that whatever we do with those two streets, that we aren't compromising Civic Plaza parking lots or other businesses that have invested a lot of money to have entrances designed because the streets were one way at one point. So having that ability to do that review and the analysis, and then making an educated decision or an intelligent decision down the road is important. But it is part of the mayor's very strong interest in making sure that downtown is walkable, rideable, and livable. And I think this really does a lot to move that forward, and safe ultimately.
Thank you, Councilor Borrego.
Councilor Benton, I did support this at LUPS, and I do support pedestrian safety, because I know that Albuquerque and New Mexico has been rated as one of the worst in the nation for pedestrian safety. And given that, and I did ask this question at LUPS, and I still ask this question again because I would be remiss if I didn't. And I've seen downtown streets change from one-ways to two-ways, back to one-ways. And here, so I want to be clear that my question is regarding the cost of the signage, the cost of the striping, the cost of, and over what period of time, so that we know as a council, if we're approving this, who is going to absorb the cost? How are these changes going to be made, and over what period of time? And what I was told at LUPS was there will be studies, and that will determine that. But, it's a difficult, I realize it's difficult, Councilor Benton, but I would like to have some kind of understanding moving forward as to what it is that we're voting on, so that, as a council, we're clear that, this is going to cost us, I don't know, $15 million, or I would like to know that. So, and maybe we don't have a clear answer yet, but.
Madam President and Councilor Borrego, let me take a first part of that and then defer to Mr. Montoya. Keep in mind that a lot of the striping issues that are already, that is pavement marking on the street. We obviously have a contractor that does that work for us. That is going to be handled within the existing budget from the Municipal Development Department. The signage that will be required to change is not overly, it doesn't cost a lot. We can make that happen and create that. Again, the one issues that we'll study and have a conversation about will be those conversions, which, as I think Councilor Benton appreciates the fact that, again, the infrastructure that needs to be changed will obviously cost dollars. But I think the good news is that the safer we make it, the more apt we are to have people maybe embrace the change, and maybe have businesses also step up and create the environment that we want here in downtown. Mr. Montoya is here. He can give you a little more detail if you would like on the costs for the major conversions down the road.
Mr. Montoya.
Madam President, Councilor Borrego, so let me just start with the immediate costs for converting the signs as well as the traffic signals. We estimate it'll be about $7,000 to do all of the traffic signals, the signs themselves. So we're converting a total of 45. Those will be done through a contract that we have with a vendor here in Albuquerque. The bigger cost is going to be with the signals themselves. We have 45 intersections that'll have to be retrofitted, so to speak, in order to accommodate the 20-mile-per-hour zone. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about $50,000 to do that. And again, that is not something that we do in-house, so we have a company that we contract that service with. We have roughly 30 days to do this based on the legislation. We will get most of the intersections signalized to the 20 miles within the first 30 days, but there will be on the outer edges about another 30 days before that actually happens. So somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $70,000 to do a complete conversion for that entire area. The second part of the question has to do with 4th and 5th, where we are actually planning to restripe. If you look at 4th, sort of adjacent to the library, you now see where you have individuals that are parked off from the curb and the bike lane actually goes up against the curb. Our plan is to eradicate the signage, the striping that's on there now. We'll do a mill inlay all the way from Lomas down to Gold Street on both of those streets, and then come back and actually push parking up against the curb. And then we will do the share arrows, so it'll be joint use of the streets themselves instead of a bike lane in those areas. We also anticipate adding probably about another seven parking spaces. We added 10 on 5th and another 10 on 4th Street when we did the eradication a few months ago. We're just waiting for the weather to, we have to have at least 50 degrees before we can actually do the striping. So we're probably about 2 to 3 months out to do the striping itself. But to answer your specific question, $60,000 will make all of the conversions that are in the legislation.
Street budget?
Madam President, Councilor Borrego, that comes out of Councilor Benton's budget.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No, we're actually paying for it.
Councilor Harris, followed by Councilor Benton.
Thank you. And just to be clear, that's 60,000 total, not 60,000 per intersection, right?
Correct. That's 45 intersections, so $50,000 more or less.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's like 1,000 per intersection or something?
We had anticipated right at $1,600 per intersection. We were
Okay.
able to negotiate some with the company that's doing it for us. The inner part of the intersections are going to be a little more expensive, and then the outer edges will be less. So it averages out to about $1,100 somewhere in through there.
Okay, thanks.
Councilor Benton.
Madam President, thank you. And thank you, Director Montoya, for, the reviews. I know that I bring forward a lot of these kind of things that some people might think it's sort of just crazy stuff, but it's not. It's about having a safer urban environment. And I think for the amount of money we're going to be paying, we're going to have a great benefit. Also, just to explain it for those people who are saying, well, why do we do one thing and then erase it and do it back? Well, part of the problem is when the previous mayor did the 50-mile bike loop, it rightly goes through downtown. But there wasn't, it was contradictory to existing policy that we already had that said that downtown would be bike friendly throughout, and the bike lanes that were put in weren't on any plan. So it was sort of, that's part of the problem with it. And it's also, when we said, when we explained to the Bicycle Advisory Committee that we're going to backtrack on these particular 2 streets of bike lanes, they were saying, well, isn't that a bad message about cycling downtown? And then a discussion ensued about, well, shouldn't downtown just be throughout considered a fairly slow place because it's 300-foot blocks with intersections at every block, and it lends itself to a lower speed limit. And let's just say that it's a great place to pass through on the 50-mile loop without necessarily sacrificing very valuable parking space. So the parking space, the reaction when that thing went in was super negative. And of course, as councilor for downtown, I was brought into the complaint process. And because a lot, in fairness to the businesses, a lot of very valuable on-street parking spaces were lost. So that was all kind of how this led up. And we're not just willy-nilly going back and forth with our facilities, but sometimes we need to adjust when errors are made.
Madam President, Councilor Benton, if I can address that so that the public is clear. So we're not eliminating the 50-mile bike loop.
Right.
It'll continue based on the other 47.5 miles or so. We're just sharing that space on the street itself. So it'll still be clearly marked as you go down Silver, as you out by Coors and Paseo. That'll still be the 50-mile bike loop.
Right, and Madam President, and yeah, that loop is a neat thing, and of course it's pretty well signed, and people will make their way through downtown and continue on the loop.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, before I give it to Councilor Benton to close, Mr. Montoya, if you can stay up for just 1 second. I know this isn't kind of germane to the bill, but could you provide us with a map of where the pedestrian fatalities and high pedestrian accidents are in the city of Albuquerque?
Madam President, actually, it's interesting that just today we're creating a new task force. We're actually preparing for Vision Zero, and in preparation to present our ideas and our thoughts to the mayor. We had a meeting today with representatives from COG, representative from Planning Department. We did not have APD or Transit. They will be at our next meeting. But one of the things that we are actually looking at in preparation for taking the challenge with Vision Zero is to identify those intersections that have the highest rate of accidents and the highest number of fatalities. That information is already available through COG. We don't track it within our own department, but we share that information with them. So we can make that available to you. You're a member of the board as well. You can request that information from either Valerie or is it Cherie, I believe it is. But in any event, we can make that information available to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And then, Councilor Benton, this bill sounds like the cruisers had it right. You just want everyone cruising downtown. So, Councilor Benton, to close.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, and cruising downtown is an important part of the whole scene, and I appreciate working together with you to make that a collaborative excitement and enjoyment for everyone concerned. And also another hats off to the Council of Governments. They do have, I think they do have the exact map that you're talking about, Madam President, and it shows kind of the hot spots throughout the city of the highest crash and injury rates, including downtown as one of them. But they do very good work, and they're very proactive in the whole Vision Zero movement, which is, again, a super great aspirational effort. And with that, I'll urge your support for the bill.
There's a motion and a second for a due pass of R-122. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion, that's an 8-1. 7-1, sorry. Passes on an 7-1 with one excused. So next item is R-129, establishing the federal priorities for the city of Albuquerque for federal fiscal years 2019 and 2020 for the purpose of establishing city federal policy goals and federal program funding. I move a due pass. There's a motion and a second for a due pass, and we have an amendment, and it's in your iPads, and I don't have that in front of me. Okay. Is there anyone signed up to speak on this? Oh. Mr. Tad Naminsky.
Thank you. My name is Ted Nemiski. Do I have to be always controversial? Well, of course, good to be truthful. That's all I care. Now, here, this resolution, another partnership, which is I am aware about this partnership, hundreds of projects with City of Albuquerque. I'm reading. City of Albuquerque and government of United States of America share goals. Now, how interesting. How quickly can you forget when you voted a resolution sanctuary city? Well, government, of course, can shut down funds, stop funds. Simple as that. Or no, you have a Congress lady now, American Indian, who lobby for federal money for the city of Albuquerque. Of course. Nothing gonna be shut down, that's for sure. Well, mental section, community development, all two different sections. Then A, B, and C, and numbers, all different projects, including the railroad. That's another dump for where is dumping money, worthless projects. Where is this couple, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from California, supposed to develop? I remember that. Well, but money, we have to spend that for all those projects. Doesn't matter how worthless they are. Yes, behavioral health and public safety. Don't for.
Thank you, Mr. Naminsky. So we have two amendments, and I stated earlier that they're in your packet, but they're actually both in front of us. So I have in front of me floor amendment number 1 to R-19-129. Number 1, on page 5, delete lines 10 through 22 and insert in lieu thereof the following. 1, providing continued bipartisan support to encourage the sharing of federal data with state and local agencies and organizations working to end homelessness, reintegrate previously incarcerated citizens back into the community, and end the cycle of coming in and out of the hospital. 2, funding the community-oriented policing services hiring program. Number 3, coordination of federal public safety grants in conjunction with Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, Brian JAG, for guns prosecution. Number 4, funding for federal funding to leverage a local local and state funding for public safety radio systems. The explanation is it improves the format presentation of long-term priority A, behavioral health and public safety, to be more consistent with the long-term objectives listed in section 2 of this resolution. I make a motion. Second. There's a motion and a second for floor amendment number 1. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Now we have floor amendment number 2 to R19-129 on page 5, line 1, after the word lighting, insert the following stormwater. On page 5, line 2, after the word lighting, insert the following stormwater management improvements. Includes application for federal stormwater management funds for neighborhoods in low-income census tracts. There's a motion and a second for amendment number 2. All those in favor say yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are back on the bill. So obviously, we've working with the mayor's office and with all the councilors. I know it's taken a little bit. We've kind of revamped our federal priorities list for the city of Albuquerque. I know in the past, the way we've kind of done this is it was written towards earmarks, what we've done for years. And as you know, in the federal government, they actually do it a little different now. They do some appropriations, but they also do grant funding. And so we've kind of revamped it to align with the way the requests are. And it's my understanding that all the councilors had an opportunity to put their requests in. And I know some dialogue with some of our federal representatives will be starting, a federal delegation will be starting here pretty soon. So it looks like we have another amendment, floor amendment number 3. Is this correct, or this is for another bill? Oh, okay, it was just passed to me, so. Are there any questions from the councilors, administration? Councilor Benton.
Madam Chair, thank you for your work on this. You've taken the lead on this, and these amendments are important as well. I just wanted to be sure that I'm sure we'll incorporate the amendments and get these off to our federal lobbyists ASAP. And do we send them directly to delegation, or is it up to the federal lobbyists?
Madam President, Councilor Benton, yes, they go directly to, not to the delegation, they go directly to the federal lobbyists who then present them, usually in person, to the delegation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I just want to thank Tom. He's the one that's actually leading this. I've given him a headache in terms of all the changes, but I really appreciate your work on this, Tom. So with that, I urge your support. There's a motion and a second for R129. All those in favor say yes. Yes. As amended, I'm sorry. Opposed, no. Motion passes. So next item is Councilor Benton, M4.
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry.
I'm sorry if I can interrupt. Madam President, as point of order, I need to recuse myself from this matter.
Okay, Councilor Davis will be recusing himself from this matter.
Madam President, M19-4 is supporting the passage. It's a memorial. It's supporting the passage of a proposed state legislation, Senate Bill 489, the Energy Transition Act, during this legislative session. I move a due pass.
Second. There's a motion and a second for a due pass of M4. Councilor Benton.
Thank you, Madam President. M4 is expressing the city's support for the passage of Senate Bill 489, which is the Energy Transition Act. Under the ETA, as it's being called these days, public utilities in New Mexico would produce 50% of energy from renewable sources by 2030, 80% by 2040, and 100% from zero carbon sources by 2045. The ETA is proposed to reduce energy costs, help New Mexico energy workers, and diversify and strengthen the state economy through large renewable energy build-out and a local workforce trained to support the needed labor and protect air, land, water, and public health. Under the ETA, the Public Service Company of New Mexico would securitize the remaining costs of the San Juan Generating Station securing lower interest rates for ratepayers. Securitization would also provide over $40 million to assist plant employees, mine workers, and others with severance pay and job training for retraining for other jobs. The ETA also directs that 450 megawatts of replacement energy, including renewables, is developed in San Juan County to restore the tax base for the community and its schools. This legislation is remarkable. It's a wide-ranging piece of legislation, and it's supported by some strange bedfellows, as they say. PNM and the pro-environment groups that have come together are normally at odds with one another. I would just go out there on a limb and say that. But in this case, people have recognized on both sides of the equation of PNM and the environmentalists that we are moving towards a carbon-free future anyway as a nation and as a state. Certainly, we've got the renewable resources to do that. It's going to take some time, but it's also, as we all know, it's a painful transition for people in the coal-fired electricity generating industry. And that's the reason why this bill also is providing support to those workers and that economy up in San Juan County, in the Farmington area, to help them as well. So it's done through securitization, which is, I don't want to get too technical on this because it's not my bill, but it's something that it is a tool that's been used in many states to advance coal plant retirements. And it is ultimately will accelerate the pace at which we can make these conversions. And the costs of the closure of these plants and the loss of the assets to the utility when they're closed is paid over a period of time, and it's paid to a great extent in the energy savings that will be achieved by the use of the renewables. At this stage of the game, renewables are much more cost-effective than fossil fuels, and especially coal is a very expensive form of generating electricity in this day and age. There'll still be a transition period of gas-fired plants while we're transitioning to renewables, and one of those gas-fired plants would be located in San Juan County. So that's my elevator speech for it, but it's been a big effort. It's supported, strongly supported. It seems to be in Santa Fe at the legislature and by the governor, and I think it's important that we go on record as supporting its passage. Thank you, Madam
Councilor
President.
Benton, you have an amendment?
I do have an amendment, and this, thank you, Madam President. This is a minor change. There was some language that in my original draft that was inaccurate, so I'll move floor amendment number 1, which states on page 2, delete lines 21 through 25. Explanation being that there was some inaccurate language in the clause and it wasn't necessary.
There's a motion and a second for floor amendment number 1. All those, I can second, right? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are back on M4, and we have a few people signed up to speak. Derek Toledo, Arcela Aiza, and Aaron Pang.
Thank you, Madam President and council members. My name is Arcelia Isais, and the year I graduated with a bachelor's in environmental science was the same year that our country was withdrawn from the Paris Agreements. So needless to say, I didn't have a very promising start to my career. Nevertheless, I'm here today for the same reason I pursued the field that I did. I have faith in all of us to find solutions to our most pressing environmental problems. As the second sunniest state and 12th windiest, New Mexico has vast potential to be a leader in these renewable energy solutions, especially now that the price of utility-scale solar has dropped by 88% and wind energy has fallen by 69% in the last decade. Senate Bill 489 is a product of countless groups working together for the past year to find a solution that would take action we need to mitigate climate change while assisting affected communities. For this reason, I urge you to support Memorial 19-4 to support the Energy Transition Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Erin Peng.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the council. My name is Erin Pang. I'm representing Environment New Mexico. We are a nonprofit citizen-based advocacy group that works on supporting clean air, clean water, and open spaces across the state of New Mexico. And we stand in strong support of Memorial 14-9, which supports the Energy Transition Act, Senate Bill 489. This piece of legislation would make New Mexico the state with one of the strongest renewable portfolio standards in the nation, getting us to 100% clean energy by 2045. Now more than ever, it's crucial that states like New Mexico be leaders on renewable energy. Not only that, but this bill also takes landmark steps to ensure a just transition towards renewables. If PNM closes the San Juan generating plant, the bill would allow PNM to issue bonds to secure lower interest rates for ratepayers in paying off the remaining coal plant costs, which saves ratepayers money. It also allocates $70 million of those dollars towards the San Juan community to help workers transition and to help remediate and clean up the area. And finally, it includes strong workforce development language that requires the hiring of apprentices from New Mexico apprenticeship programs to make sure people in the state can benefit from new clean energy jobs that are created. This bill is the result of a lot of hard work by a coalition of environmental, community, and labor groups, including the San Juan community, to ensure that ratepayers, workers, the affected communities, the environment, and future generations get a fair deal. The bill will ensure that we take the steps that we need to preserve a livable environment and do so in a way that makes way for a just transition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councilor Benton to close. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Harris.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And I've been kind of outspoken, not extremely outspoken, but outspoken enough about this talk about closing San Juan because of what it would do to the economy up in the Four Corners area, and I was really concerned about that. I'm glad that PNM and the business community, actually, as well as all the groups that were mentioned by the speakers, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, have recognized this is probably the best way to go, and it does recognize a transition for the people up there. I'm still concerned about the long-term economy up there because even though if we take care of the workers that are there, there's not going to be future jobs for that number of people in the future. So I think the economy of that region, you know, might be worse off because of this. But on balance, I think I understand this is a grand compromise that really brought a lot of people together from different, walks of life and different views on this topic. So for that, I applaud the sponsors of this bill up in Santa Fe, and I'm going to support this memorial.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Councilor Benton to close.
Thank you, Madam President. And again, since this is something that's, as was the federal bill, we need to get the enacted version of this out to, I'll help with that myself, but we probably need to get it to the bill sponsors, I would say, in the Senate and let them use it as they see fit. So. But with that, councilors, I urge your support.
There's a motion and a second for Memorial 4 as amended. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. Motion passes. There being no further business, this city council meeting is adjourned.